Welcome back to Where in the World, where we have real conversations with young professionals about life and career, all while attempting to guess where in the world they are. We'll learn something new about our guests and what it's like to forge your own career path as a young professional. When we say young, we're really talking about a state of mind. You'll learn by watching this web series that your career will take many dips and turns over time, and just when you think you've made it, you might have to scrap it all and start from scratch. Sometimes that's just the way it goes, and we ride the tide. I am your host, Clary Johnson, and joined here today by a very special person who is near and dear to my heart. It's rare, y'all, to find friends that transcend borders and times. Her friendship has helped me survive some of my darkest days. And if you have a friend like that, I'm telling you to reach out to them right now and tell them you love them. Today, we're going to get vulnerable. We're talking about our inner child and unlearning beliefs that no longer serve us and replacing those beliefs with new skills and ways of thinking as we advance into adulthood. The big, hairy question we're asking today is, what role does our inner child play in our ability to be successful as young professionals? But before we jump in, let's do some housekeeping. This is a mini web series game show. The questions will range from standard interview like questions to more personal questions about our guests' careers. You'll notice we're both here today with different backgrounds, and in between questions, we'll each have an opportunity to guess where in the world the other person is. The first person to guess correctly wins. Our guests can ask for clues along the way, and the audience can help out by also asking for clues. So please join me in welcoming Sandy.
Hi.
Sandy, I am so honored to have you join us tonight. First, I want to say I love you.
Oh, I love
And
you.
I'm deeply appreciative of our friendship. I am truly blessed that our dogs connected and then we connected. And we talk a lot about this, about how animals are spiritual pathways. I love the way that you phrase that so perfectly. And they have the power to really attract people and emotional resources into our lives. And right now, we're in two different time zones. So at this moment, you're in Northern California, which is my old stomping grounds, and I'm here in Chicago. And today, we're going to be talking about the role our inner child plays in our ability to be successful as young professionals. I love this topic because when we really think about it, many of the goals we have now were once dreams of those little girls and boys. And we're going to find out what you wanted to be when you were a child. Today, you're a marriage and family therapist. So let's just get started with our most common interview question. All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, my name is Sandy. Well, technically I'm Sandra, but it's my work name. My name is Sandy. I'm born and raised in San Diego, but now I live in the Bay Area. Um, you said about my background?
Mhm.
Okay. So both my parents are immigrants from Mexico. Um, and I grew up in a really multicultural community. There was a little bit of everything. Um, but I've always felt, naturally a lot closer to my community, like the Latino community. And I've always felt that it was something that I wanted to pursue and like supporting my community, especially San Diego being a border city and just wanting to help. And I think for me in my career, or choosing my career, it came to this quote that I don't know, a lot of people have heard it, a lot of people haven't, but like, be the person that you needed when you were little. And someone that I needed when I was little was definitely a counselor, therapist, whatever have you. Um, So went, I started college in community college. Then I went and transferred to a big state university, San Diego State, naturally, since I was there. And I felt like I kind of got lost in a big state school. Felt that I didn't build those connections with my professors like I did in community college. So I pursued graduate school at a private school that offered really small classroom sizes, which was expensive. Um, but I really feel like it was very, very, very worth it. So I got my master's at Palo Alto University here in the Bay Area, and I've kind of just stayed put since I moved here. And yeah, that's a little bit about me and, kind of how I got to where I got.
I love that story. And the thing I want to put the pin in is to be the person you wanted to be when you were little, when you were younger. Because whenever I talk about my mission, I talk about my friend who told me that story
Yeah,
about being the person that I needed when I was little. And
yeah.
when I think about my mission of really helping young professionals through what I call the gap. So that's this moment, that's the period between when you graduate from college and you land your first, full-time gig, like your really first career accelerating opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many emotions within that gap. There's anxiety, there's fear, there's
Mm-hmm.
depression, there's, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to do next. And oh my goodness, did I choose the right path? And oh my goodness, how am I going to pay off these loans and these credit cards that I've amassed? And so I really want to serve as a guide through that period to show people, to show young professionals, there is a light at the end of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the light that you choose, and you can create that. And so to help them to create that outcome. And I think about why I do that, and it's because that's what I felt I needed. I I was in a space where I felt very lost in my career, and I'm a first generation college student, so I didn't really have, that sounding board of someone who had already been there and done that, who could,
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey, Clary, these are the things that you're doing right. Hey, Clary, here are some things that I think maybe you want to try." Or it's someone to really take me under their wing and open up doors for me. And while there were people along my path, there were lights along my path. I
Mm-hmm.
really, what I really wanted was someone to really just embrace me and say, "It's gonna be okay." Right? Like that inner child. Um, so that is so profound for me to hear you say that, and then to think about kind of where you are right now as a marriage and family therapist and your work with children, and how you've really brought that full circle, and how you're able to really pinpoint and identify that time in your life when you made the decision of, I want to do something that's going to be meaningful for my community, but also something I want to solve a problem that I
Mm-hmm.
had or a challenge that I faced when I was younger. So I love that.
Absolutely. I can definitely relate to feeling really lost, even once you're already in school. Like, I got my bachelor's in psychology, but I didn't really know what that meant, although I was in the motions of it and getting good grades and, being like successful. I still didn't exactly know what that meant for me.
Mhm.
And that phrase, be the person that you needed when you were younger, like it's been something that's been in like my knowledge bank, but I didn't really bring it to the surface and really reflect on it until I would say like I was already like well into my major and I had no idea, truly no idea what I wanted to do after. And once I graduated, and I remember I spent like 30 days exactly meditating. I meditated every day at lunchtime at the same time. And I was just so desperate to like figure out like my path. And I know it's not linear like that for other people, but I had interned at different places. I've had different jobs, and I knew I wanted to like help, but I still had no idea like in what way. And during one of those like meditation sessions, like it kind of came to me, and I was like counselor, therapist, I was like, that's it. It was kind of a like a I don't want to sound cheesy, but it was almost like a cosmic signal that I like received, like a cosmic message. And I think because I was just like really digging deep, like diving deep every day at lunchtime to figure out what it is I needed for my life.
So let's pause here
Mhm.
and we are going to guess where the other person is. I'm really excited about this
Me too.
because I'll say why I'm excited about this. Because the instructions I always give to guests that come on this show is you can choose anywhere on earth, land, or sea, or even outer space. And you would be the person to choose outer space. Well, so that's going to be my question. First of all, is this a place? Is this an outer space?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because it does look like a little, it could be under the sea, possibly.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's this angelic light that's just kind of hitting you perfectly from the side. So I just wanted to make sure. So we are in outer space.
We're in outer
Um,
space.
okay, so I'm definitely gonna have to Google this. But is this one of the Kepler planets? Okay, I'm just gonna stop there. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because there are a lot of Kepler planets out
There are.
there.
There are.
So we had to narrow it down, though. Okay, we had to narrow it. You knew when you know me. Okay, when we're talking about this cosmic, like you see the shirt. Okay, we
I,
came prepared.
I know.
All right. Okay, so now it's your turn.
Okay, is this a European?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Um, is this? I want to say it's in between, like Italy or Denmark,
And you mean it's spatially
or
located
or
within
sorry,
them,
like
or
I'm
either
like
or?
either or.
Okay, so it is not Italy. It is not Denmark. I'm actually glad it's not Italy because I almost chose Italy for this one. But I will give you a clue. How about that?
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so let's see. The re okay, so this place has this place. Okay, so here, 1/3 of this country is under sea level.
Girl, me and geography are not friends.
Well, you know it's European,
Yes. Okay.
and you also know that 1/3 of this European place is below sea level.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we're going to pause here
Okay.
and we're going to move to our next question. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So tell us a little bit more about what you do now and then give us a glimpse of what your typical day to day looks like.
Okay. So what I do now isn't what I thought I would be doing while I was in grad school, because I went to grad school to become a therapist. And I do therapy, but I also do. Oh, hello,
Hey,
Deanna.
Deanna.
I do a mix. So I do outpatient therapy, but I also am a intensive care coordinator, which It's basically like a clinical case manager. So, not a social worker for sure. Um, but I do a lot of resourcing. I provide a lot of that clinical support while resourcing for families. And um, I provide that, like, yeah, like that emotional support. So, a day for me, well, every day is different. Um, I would say on there's like a regular day and then there's like a chaotic day. So a regular day would be, you know, I wake up, I check my emails, I check in with families that, you know, I do like monthly check-ins or sometimes weekly check-ins and just kind of see um how things are going. Oh, I should explain. Sorry, I have ADHD, so I'm kind of all over the place. Um, so I work at a nonprofit called Rebecca's Children's Services, and we work with primarily with foster youth, but we also receive referrals from hospitals. People can self refer through a call center, which that's something I'm really, really fond about in my county of Santa Clara County. There's like a generic number that anybody can call, and you call, you just say, hey, I want to see a therapist for this, or I want services for this. And then they screen you and they send the referral. I feel like a lot of counties lack, and it's just a very, very, very easy way to get connected. So at Rebecca's, we have just, you know, a variety of different clientele. We have clients with suicidal ideation, clients with anxiety, some OCD. Um, there is a wave of eating disorder going on right now. I feel that we're coming out of the wave of anxiety
Hmm.
and we're stepping into a wave of eating disorder, and that has a lot to do with social media, virtual school, a lot of that. Um, so a day for me, like a regular day, would be, you know, I wake up, I check my emails, I check in with families. I have maybe 3 or 4 sessions per day. And those sessions range from an hour to 2 hours. It all depends on what the need is. Me, as a coordinator, my schedule is much more flexible than a full time therapist that has traditional like 50-minute sessions, 10-minute break, 50-minute sessions, 10-minute break. I really like my job because I have a lot more flexibility and I'm out in the community more. Um, Now, on a chaotic day, I would be at home working on progress notes, just minding my own business. And then there would be some kind of crisis. Like I would get a call from like a client and they would express, you know, maybe they're having like suicidal ideation, or I would get a call from one of my team members and they would let me know. And me as the lead on each team, um, I would be responsible for going out and creating like a safety plan, assessing for like higher level need of care or not, you know, checking in with like my higher ups if this person needs to be 5150. 5150 is just a like code for someone that is going to harm themselves. They're at risk of harming themselves and they need to be detained or further assessed, you know, to see. And that's when you would be a client would be sent to like a psych hospital for an undetermined amount of hours or days or weeks, depends. And so yeah, those that's an average day for me, and then that's a chaotic day for me. Well, not chaotic, but you know, every day is an adventure in my job. I never know what's going to happen. I never know what someone needs. I can have my day scheduled and organized, and then there is a crisis that happens, and that takes precedent.
And what I find so potent about the way that you described what you do is that there are a lot of heavy emotions and a lot of really serious, right, um, situations that you're responding to. And so hearing that tells me a lot about who you are. I know you. I don't know everything about you, but I think I know you pretty well enough to say that you're very much emotionally intelligent, empathic. You are very responsible. It sounds like you have to be someone that people can rely on to be able to do the job
Yes.
that you do,
Yeah.
right? So we're going to pause here and we're going to get back into it. Okay, so you're on a Kepler planet.
Mm-hmm.
Um and now I have to go to the Googles because I have what
Okay.
Kepler. Okay, I have another question. I have another question.
Okay.
Is this planet the most similar to Earth?
It could be.
Is this that Kepler planet? It could be. Do you know? Are you
I
googling it?
do. Um. Okay. There is a very. Oh, you know what? A really good. If you know your Keplers, then if I were to say mushroom,
Oh,
would that help you?
uh, I don't know but I will take the clue. I will take the clue. By the way, there are more than 20 there are more than 2,000 Kepler planets. 26 more than 2600
There,
$2,600. Oh my
there's
goodness.
a lot of
More than
Kepler.
2,600 Kepler planets.
26. I did not know that.
Do we
I
have time to get through all of them?
I don't think so.
Okay, I
So there's one Kepler that I know really well because I saw a whole documentary on it.
okay, so there's a documentary about this Kepler planet.
Yes.
That's helpful. My next question, by the way, is going to be I'm going to ask you some numbers. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going
Okay.
to try to narrow it down. All
Okay.
right. So it is your turn. So we're in Europe. We've confirmed that,
Uh-huh.
but not in Spain.
Not in Spain. Okay, we're in Europe. Not in Spain, not in Italy.
And one third of this country is under sea level.
I'm not versed on my European countries' sea level levels. Um, but I don't know. Croatia?
We are not in Croatia. I'll give you another clue.
Okay.
This country was the first country to legalize same sex marriage.
Oh,
Oh no, no. Save
oh,
it. You gotta save.
okay.
Do you think you know what it is?
I
All right, we're gonna hop into our next question.
okay. Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna read a statistic to you. I want to get your reaction to this.
Okay.
So in 2019, the Harris Poll and Lego Group partnered up to ask 3,000 kids what they wanted to be when they grow up. The results surprised me. Okay, 11% said they wanted to be an astronaut. 19% said they wanted to be a musician. 23% said they wanted to be a professional athlete. 26% want to be a teacher. And 29% wanted to be a YouTuber.
I am not surprised by the YouTuber.
Oh, by the way, Deanna guessed Sweden. So, Deanna, we are not in Sweden.
Oh.
Where is Sweden? And let me see. Where is
I need I
Sweden?
need I've been saying that I want to get like a really nice map, like world map in my
Mhm.
house just to like, you know, have to look at.
Do it.
Get inspired to travel more.
I love globes. I think they're so cool.
Yeah, they are very underrated home decor.
All right, so Deanna, we it looks like we're about a 23-hour travel away from Sweden, and we cross a few different water channels. So that's your clue.
Okay.
Okay. So, what's your reaction to the 29% of children in this study? So there are 3,000 children that they interviewed.
Hmm.
The majority of them said they wanted to be a YouTuber. What's your reaction to that?
As someone that works with kids, it's not surprising. Um, Kids spend a lot of their time online, and when they're not online, they spend a lot of time wanting to be online.
Hmm.
So it's only natural, that they want to be like the people that they look at online. A lot of the kids that I work with, have their like favorite YouTubers. Um, a lot of YouTubers are very vocal about like their income and like, oh, I paid this for my parents. I did this, you know what I mean? So I think it comes from like a place of like just I mean, monkey see, monkey do,
Hmm.
you desire so much to watch these videos. When you're not watching them, you just want to be watching them. Kids could spend all day on YouTube if their parents allowed them to. I mean, I'd be on my phone all day also if I didn't have a job. Like, it's so addicting. Like, you know.
It's true. And I think about how much the world has changed, right? Since I was a kid, everyone was saying, "Go be a doctor, be a lawyer, be like those
Mhm.
are the things that you were praised
Yeah.
on." And social media has definitely, and you were talking about this a little bit earlier, has definitely changed the primary influencer for children, for our
Hmm.
generations.
Yeah.
Um, and so I thought that was just an interesting statistic, but it didn't bother me, you
Yeah.
know, because I see it as I would be curious to know why. I think that would be more helpful. Is to, well, why from a child's perspective, why do they want to be a YouTuber, right? And I think you
Mm.
so eloquently stated a lot of the possibilities there. But I also see it as and people they want to create something, right, versus
Yeah.
fitting into the mold of
Yeah.
what society expects of them. And I think that's pretty cool, actually, right,
Mhm.
to say,
Yeah.
hey, I want to create something, like I want to have my own message, and I want to have my own platform, and I want to have my own tribe in my own community. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that are very appealing to like being an online persona, getting to travel, getting free things. I think it's like a high stimulating career,
Mm.
and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Cool. Okay, so let's guess. All right, so I said we're gonna narrow it down by numbers. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Um so I'm not sure actually how the Kepler planets are numbered, what the numbering system is.
I'm not sure either. I just know that some of them have like a letter at the end.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I can guess. Okay. Can you hear me Googling furiously? Okay. Okay, so I'll guess the letter.
Okay.
Okay. So is the letter does the le- the, is the the last letter of this number, does it end in B?
Yes.
Oh, got it on the first try. Okay. So we're dealing with a Kepler something B. All right.
Yeah.
Can you give me another clue about this place?
Okay. Um, I told you mushrooms.
You did.
I did. I'm gonna say another. Oh, okay. It was discovered in the 2000s.
Oh, so this is more recent.
Yes, in
Okay.
the 2000 and forward.
Okay. I know what my next question is going to be for you.
Okay.
All right, but it is your turn officially.
Okay. Okay. What language is spoken
Oh,
in
that
European place?
that's a great question. Dutch is the language here.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
Do I guess now?
Yeah.
Uh, where do they speak Dutch? Netherlands?
Yes. Wow, I had so many more good juicy clues to give you.
Ah! Sorry.
So I'll give you some clues.
Okay.
I'll tell you some cool facts about
Oh, yeah,
Netherlands.
yes, yes. Look good.
So there are over 1,000 windmills in the Netherlands.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Um, Apparently carrots are orange because of the Netherlands.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Because of they did some clever breeding. Because originally carrots were white, purple, and pale yellow, which
Yeah.
there are still carrots that color,
Yeah.
but they did some breeding to make carrots orange. That's kind of cool.
Very cool.
The Dutch own more bicycles than any other country in the world. Um, let's see what else. There was another really cool. There are over 1,200 bridges in the Netherlands.
Wow.
And the Netherlands is the world's biggest flower exporter. So look at
Exporter.
exporter. Yeah,
Wow. That's
they're kind of cool.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
All right. So let's go to this other question. Okay.
Hmm.
So before this live, we were talking about giving ourselves permission to be sad.
Yes.
What role do you think our mental and emotional health plays in our ability to be successful as young professionals? And specifically successful in the workplace?
Okay. Um, okay, hold on, repeat the question one more time. Because like
Okay.
it
Hmm.
brought up a lot of feelings and then I kind of dissociated. So
Okay. Okay. So before this live, we talked about giving ourselves permission to be sad.
yes.
What role do you believe our mental and emotional health plays in our ability to be successful as young professionals?
Okay. So your mental and emotional health is everything. It affects everything. It you in order to you can be successful and be a very sad person. Obviously, we've seen that in like a lot of like CEOs, CFOs, celebrities. You know what I mean? That sometimes those things end really badly. Um, but in order to really have that true fulfillment, that true joy, the true like meaning and purpose, you do need to have your mental health. I wouldn't say healed and perfect because nobody's ever like fully, you know what I mean? Like I've worked through all my trauma, by this age. Like that's really impossible because our lives are ever changing. There's always new experiences and new things to have to work through, and there's some things that will always be processing. but at least having an understanding of some of the pain that you've gone through, um, some of the stuff that you may need to work on, or are like in the process of, or just like acknowledgement of some of like this tough stuff that's happened. um, I feel that that's everything, that it's gonna really affect like your everyday, your life, your God, it's such a loaded question.
I agree. And we're actually going to ask a question later about DIY
Mhm.
therapy, and what are some of those things that we can actually do at home to kind of work through some of our trauma. And but what I was hearing you say um, was really about taking the time to do the healing, and you were talking about self-awareness. So us making that choice, right? We have to make that choice within ourselves to do the healing, right? And then we have to go and do the healing. Even though it's like any wound, maybe you're never completely healed, or it takes time, right? But giving ourselves permission to take time and sticking with it. And this idea that what heard a lot when I was in the corporate world is, you know, bring your best self to work, but
Mhm.
don't bring your full self to work. And
Mhm.
I always challenge that because if you're working 8 hours a day at a job, right? You think about it, you have 24 hours. You're supposed to be
Mhm.
sleeping for 8 of those hours, right? Supposed to be,
Yeah.
right? So that leaves you 16 hours, right? So then 8 of those hours you spend at work, and probably the other 8 hours you spend detoxing from work and getting ready for work.
Mhm.
So, in a lot of ways, you become a lot closer and you spend more time with the people at work than you do at home.
Absolutely.
And so it's impossible to separate or to detach, right? My emotional life at home from my emotional life at work, or my emotional life at work from my emotional life at home. And we try so hard to create this separation.
Of course.
And, I do think there is some validity to, consciously making a choice when I'm cutting work off, I'm going at home, I'm being with my family. But at the same time, I think it's unrealistic to think that if I'm having a tough time at home, that when I go to work, I'm just going to be this totally other person who, it's almost, you know, like we're kind of expected to be emotionless in a lot of ways, right? Or the
Mhm.
only emotion that's acceptable is happiness,
Of
right?
course.
Or
Of course.
acceptance,
Yeah.
or right, or
Neut-
agreement.
or just like neutral, like just be a body.
Yeah. Man, you said some really powerful things there. And that just kind of goes back to something that I always say, which is if there seemingly is no path, we create the path.
Mhm.
So, okay. So, let's get back to our Kepler planet,
Oh,
cuz you've
perfect.
guessed where I'm at. So, this is getting embarrassing, okay?
No,
Cuz
it's not. It's really not.
this also happened to me during our last show, where I just my geography clear well, I guess my outer space geography is just not on point. I need to do some more research. And what's funny is I actually have a book on planets.
Oh,
I actually
okay.
have a book on planets. Okay, so I remember saying that I was going to ask a specific question.
Oh
So
yeah.
this is a Kepler planet.
Yes.
It ends in B,
Mhm.
and there's something about a mushroom that's related
Mhm.
to this planet.
Yeah.
It was founded after the 2000s, or in
Yes.
the 2000s, so it's
Yes.
a more recently discovered planet.
Yes.
And
I'm gonna give you the distance. It's from Earth. Okay.
okay,
It's 1,402 light years from Earth?
Why do I feel like the answer is so much further away than it was before? Like, I'm just 1,402 light years away.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So I had a really good question, but it's not coming to me right now in this moment. So I'm gonna. Is it a single digit Kepler?
No,
Is it a double digit Kepler?
no.
Is it a triple digit Kepler?
Yes,
Okay, it's a triple digit Kepler that ends in the letter B.
yes.
So I see a couple of options here. Okay. And I have an idea. I think I might know which one it is.
Okay, let's do it.
Ah, maybe it's not. That doesn't say 1,400 light years. It says 1,800. Okay. So is it Kepler 452b?
Yes,
Oh, it is.
it is. Yes. It's, so this planet is crazy. So it's inhabited by mushrooms. So like mushrooms um are a big part of like the way like animals decompose. The mushrooms in what they've said is that like mushrooms also kind of can like hunt for like animals and stuff too. Like it's like these mushrooms are like evolved. And then with this whole The Last of Us stuff that's coming on, I'm like,
Yes.
oh no,
It's real. So
yeah.
we found life on this planet.
Um, I would it's all estimate, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's the planet that's the most like Earth. In the documentary that I saw, there were a lot of estimates or of like or guesstimates of like animals that they would you know think that they would exist on the planet, and a lot of these animals are like adorably freaky.
Adorably freaky.
Yeah. I'll have to find the documentary and I'll send it to you, but it's really good.
Netflix, Hulu.
Jeez, it's because I have YouTube TV.
Oh, me too.
So oh, okay, so that's where I saw it. So I'll have to
Okay.
see which channel it was on.
I'm just gonna Google it. I'll find it.
Oh, it's so good. Like
Okay.
it's just fascinating.
Okay. So I have a couple more questions. Are you able
Okay.
to stick with me for a little
Of
bit longer?
course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have like three really good questions, but I also want to keep us it's hard.
Let's just jump into it.
Let's
Let's
jump
let's,
in. Tell
let's
us about a time when you had to unlearn a childhood belief and learn a new way of thinking. What was the challenge? How did you approach it? And what was the result?
mm, okay. Um so in the Latino culture, it's very, very, and I'm sure this goes for like a lot of other cultures too, but I can only speak to mine. Um, just not sharing things, just kind of dusting things under the rug, at waking up the next day acting like, nothing happened. And something that I've unlearned a lot in my adult life. Functioning in a healthy work environment, functioning in um, a healthy home environment that I've created with my partner, is just talking about things, like actually sharing your feelings and um, doing that not just at home, but at work too. If something bothers you, say it. If something isn't right, say it. Um, and just self expression is something that, well, lack of self expression is something that I had to, unlearn. And as an adult, where I strive to like put myself in the most, you know, enriching and healthy environments, you know, having the ability to express myself with my friends, my partner, my workplace. That's something that I never thought was allowed. I never was taught that that was allowed as a kid. And as an adult, it's incredibly it's emotional, you know. I I never thought I'd be here. I didn't know that this was even possible to exist in such a way.
Hmm.
Um, because it wasn't taught to me. It's something I had to unlearn. Um, and it's freaking amazing.
I love that you said that because communication is the one for me, which is similar to expression. I think people might find that funny because they're like, "Oh, you're a communication professional. Like you do this for a living," and it's true. But I think there is something different when we talk about communication as an expression, and there's so much around how to. Well, one, let's not even talk about the how yet. Let's just talk about realizing or having the awareness that I'm having an emotion, being able to name what that emotion is,
Mhm.
and then being able to express that emotion in a way that is productive.
Yeah.
Right, like there's a lot going on, right? At first I have to even have awareness that I'm having the
Yes.
emotion. I remember when I went to I was in an outpatient program, and I was seeing a psychiatrist, and they're like, "Yeah, you have anxiety." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even realize all this time I've been struggling with this emotion, and there's
Mhm.
a name for it."
Yeah.
Right? I had
Mhm.
no awareness of that, right? And
Mhm.
so once I knew that there was a name for it, now every time I felt that emotion, I was like, "Oh, that's anxiety.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's anxiety," right? Whenever I had these ruminating thoughts, "Oh, that's anxiety."
Yeah, it's validating to your experience to know there's a name for it,
It's
right?
true. And you have such a calming, soothing voice, by the way. I'm like,
Oh, thank you.
okay. So what you said beautifully transitions us into one of our final two questions. And I'm actually going to mash up the first question. So you already touched on this a little bit. We talked about meditation.
Mhm.
What are some practical things that young professionals can do at home to practice vulnerability with themselves, to basically DIY therapy, right? And then the
Mhm.
second part of that is if there are young professionals who are watching this today and they've been thinking about therapy and they've been on the fence, or maybe they've done therapy before and it didn't quite work out, what would you say to them? So the first part is what can we do for ourselves at home, and then the other part is if we're on the fence about therapy, what would you say?
Okay. Something you can do at home is just be gentle with yourself. We are often so hard on ourselves. We are our biggest critic always, from the moment you wake up and look in the mirror. You are judging yourself. You're criticizing yourself, unless you have like the perfect self esteem, which is non existent. Just be gentle. Just be kind to yourself. Be more gentle and kind. Give more attention to your breath. You know, inhaling exhaling is as important as inhaling because you're taking the breath in, and then when you let it out, you're letting it out, like whatever feelings that you have, whatever emotions that you want to like process or maybe put aside for the moment, just being gentle with yourself, more gentle with yourself, and giving more attention to your breath are two really, really simple things that you can do at home that kind of force you to slow down,
Mhm.
because breathing is, we do this subconscious, but when you give that attention to your breath, of just like simple, like breathing in and breathing out, you know, it just makes you slow down a little bit. And we are in such a fast paced life, especially if you live in the city, things are just, you're on a schedule constantly, So I would say that those are two very simple things that you can do at home. Um, and then what was your next question?
The follow-up question is, if I so we talked about the DIY therapy, but now if I want to see a therapist, or if I've been on the fence about seeing a therapist, or maybe I've been to therapy and it didn't quite work out, what would you say?
Okay, I'm going to share something that was shared with me while I was in grad school by one of my teachers slash mentors. I remember she said that therapy or finding a therapist is a lot like dating. And you're not always gonna find, the sharpest tool, or the brightest crayon in the crayon box the first time around. Not all therapists are made equally. Um, and not each flavor is,
True.
fit for everyone. What works for someone may not work for someone else. Um, you know, so just being comfortable with that, and like exploring like lots of, like, if you've already had a therapist and it didn't work out, like try someone that's the opposite. Try, and also something that I didn't know going into therapy is that there's lots of different styles of therapy. Um, and so there's like, very like strict, like, this person gives you homework, you do like worksheets, touring sessions. There's more like relaxed, like, more go with the flow. Like there's lots, there's like there are hundreds of different types of therapists, and different styles. And so just continuing to explore, because if you really want to do the work and you really feel like you need like guidance with that, then for sure pursue therapy with that, and find your right therapist.
Mm.
Um, and for someone that is on the fence of, and the fence, I get it. Therapy is expensive, and the therapy that's offered through your insurance isn't always the best. So I get that too. And it may not, if you're on the fence and you're just, it may not be the right time, because you have to be ready also. You have to like give yourself permission to be vulnerable during therapy. And if you're on the fence, then maybe wait till you feel like you're very motivated to, or just keep exploring with yourself. Like, why am I on the fence? Why do I feel like reservations? What, and explore that. Sorry, that was my dog.
I heard Dala. Yeah.
she, she had to make herself known. Um, yeah, it's just, it's really hard. It's really, really hard, especially if you've already had like a really good therapist.
Mm.
And then say they retire. Like I had like a phenomenal therapist when I was like 19, and then she retired, and nobody can measure up to her still, even for me. And I'm just like, oh, it's so hard, So, um, don't compare yourself to other people either. Say your friend's going to therapy and it's like going amazing. You're like, oh, like maybe I should go too because they're going. No, you're on your own path. You're on your own journey. You've lived an entirely different life than that person. No one's lived the life that you've lived. So just do what feels natural and right to you in that moment.
Mm.
Or you can try it and I'm not ready yet. That's okay. Doesn't matter. Like there's no like there's no direct path to wellness and healing. It's different for everybody.
So, final question for tonight um, is, and this is a question we ask all of our guests, which is how would you describe success?
Um, I would describe success as fulfillment. I think if you just feel fulfilled, if you feel joy, but fulfillment the most, if you feel like whatever you're doing fills you up, you know, gives you that energy to keep going, then that's success. And that can be measured in work or maybe starting a family, or anything, Um, as long as you feel fulfilled, then you're rich.
Hmm. Wealth is a feeling.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, success is measured differently for many different people. Some people measure success with their bank account, some
Mhm.
people measure success with their status, but for me, it's really about fulfillment.
Hmm. Well, thank you, Sandy, for joining us on this show. You have brought so many incredible, profound insights to the table. And I think we can all leave and really think about and consider the conversation tonight and how it applies to our own lives. And I know I'm going to rewatch this
Same.
and meditate on it and breathe on it because um, I think these are important conversations to have. And so often we feel so alone, right? And so because we feel alone, we don't know where to start with those conversations. But I think you've given us a lot of great places to start with that inner child and saying it's okay. And it's okay if it's not time yet. And it's okay if you don't know everything. And it's okay to seek out the answers. Um, and so thank you for coming on the show and giving us permission to be gentle and kind and compassionate with ourselves.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me and asking me these questions. I feel very thankful for our friendship. I feel thankful to be in a position where I can contribute to the game show that you're
Yes.
hosting. Um, and I'm thankful for you, just for your existence.
Mm. I love you.
I love you.
All right. Well, with that, we will sign off.
Okay. Have
All
a
right.
great
Good night.
night.
Peace.